Hello, welcome to day three of our 5-day women's workshop for Boldly Becoming You. This workshop today is about desire mapping, and it's a very exciting part of our 5-day workshop. And today we're exploring your desires and how you can really make some movement towards becoming whoever you want to be. So, my name is Vicky Lord, and I help women have everyday confidence. And that's what this whole workshop is about, self-belief. So let's dive into day three. If you haven't got it already, there is a workbook that comes with this workshop, and it'll give you all the paperwork to follow over the 5 days. So I'll link that below for you. And let's get cracking to day three. So the question in this workbook today is, what does your soul most deeply desire? And it says, do that. That is so important that you do that. Not just dream about what your soul desires, but we've got to do it. So, really important. Let's explore how we can um, desire map our life and find out what our soul really desires. And so let's explore what desire is and why it matters. So, desire is the language of the soul, and it reveals what lights you up. And if your desire is suppressed, which means you're not going for what your soul desires, it can mean frustration, distraction, or even numbness in who you are. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is honor the desire, so that we can live with energy, joy, and alignment. And so the difference between what we call is the ego desire and the soul desire is, the ego on one hand is here to support us. So I'm not saying that the ego is bad right now. We all need a bit of ego so that we walk into a room and don't fall into a ball of mess. So it's not 100% bad, but we have the option to live from a soul place, or we have the option to live from a place where we're trying to please others. And that's what I mean by the ego side of us, or the soul side of us. So the the ego side of us wants status, which is based on what somebody else thinks of us, want approval, which is what somebody else thinks of us, and comparison, which is also comparing ourselves to what someone else thinks of us. And so them desires can sometimes be really painful because they're built from low self-worth and low self-esteem. And then we've also got the soul-based desires, which is how our soul wants to express in life. It wants connection and growth and freedom and all this expansive stuff about ourselves. So when we're going through what our soul desires, so there was one time when I was saying I just want to be enough, that was an approval based desire. But then when I came from a different desire, and my biggest thing moving forward was connection and friendship, that was a soul based desire. So if you ask yourself today, does this desire feel expansive, or does it feel heavy? And that will let you know whether it's a soul desire or coming from a place of hurt. And um, there's no right or wrong for your desire where you are right now in your life. What we want to do is get to the place where we are coming from a soul-based desire. So common blocks to desire is fear, and that's the fear of being too much or the fear of not being enough, or guilt around wanting more. Do you just want more out of life? And I hope that you're getting out of these trainings that you can have more out of life guilt-free. Another block can be a past disappointment or a heartbreak, and conditioning to put others first before your desire. So the key is to reconnect with your inner child's curiosity and playfulness. When you were a child, what did you want to do? I did this process once, um, and this trainer asked me to write down what I need to do, what my life's mission was. And I imagined when I was a little child, well, jumping over this picket fence, and we went running through someone's yard, and we went on this childish adventure. It was so much fun. And I came out of that and I was like, the purpose of my life is take people on a beautiful adventure. That was it. And I'm taking them on a soul's adventure, and that came about by imagining what my inner child wanted. So there's a key for you today. If you're not sure about your desire, what does your child inside of you get curious and want to do more of? So, desires aren't selfish, they're sacred and they're part of your soul's journey. So, your desires are clues to your purpose. And when you follow your desire, you inspire others. How cool is that? And a fulfilled person gives more to the world, not less. So, my husband often says you can't pour from an empty cup. So, how are you going to fill your cup with your desire? So, let's do some desire exploration. If you're in your book, we are up to day 3. And so what we're going to do is list our desires. So take some time to brainstorm and write down your desires. There's some space there in the workbook for you to do this. I call it homework because you're going to watch this video and then sit down with your workbook. So, but it's fun homework. And write down anything that comes to your mind without judgment. Okay. This is the fun part. We can imagine without judgment. And then feeling is the secret. So if you close your eyes and you feel that desire, what does it feel like? Does it feel light and like you're on clouds and floating through the earth with all this joy? Or does it feel heavy and constricted? And then we're going to choose one that's light and happy for our desire because I don't want to leave anyone in a sad space. And then going to write down what your story is. So this is where you're going to do some imagination writing. There's a whole page for you today to write down your imagination story, where you're going, where you want to feel the joy that's coming into your life, who you're hanging out with, the feeling of the water over your toes, and get really descriptive of your amazing life. And so after you've done that, then we want to take a little while to do some desire mapping. And this is going to cover all aspects of your life. And so I've called them the surface desire, the core desire, and the soul desire. And all 3 are important. So the surface desire is um, material possessions or material things that you can work towards that create some fun in your life. So we'll take a Porsche, for example, or a Mercedes or a Bentley, that is that's a material thing. So it may be a beach house or it may be a puppy or it may be, a farm holiday. That's the possession. Possession is probably a wrong word for it, but it's the 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 thing that you can work towards now. And then the core desire is the value that you're bringing forward. So it's like the growth that you're going to get, or it's going to be the fulfilling experience. And so that's important as well. And then you got your soul's desire, which is your soul's purpose. And that may be like you're here to connect with people, you're here to make people feel good, you're here to help people heal, you know. So all 3 of these are really important in your desire mapping moving forward. And there's a spot in here to write down your surface core and soul desires. And I just want to let you know again today that any desire you have is valid. It's just a matter of working through this fun life on the skills and the challenges on how to get where it is that you're going. And so just because you haven't got your desire yet or you're working towards your desire doesn't mean it's not valid. So feel that feeling today that you're worthy of your desire, you're worthy of your values, you're worthy of who you are moving forward, and dream that big dream, write it down. And if you feel like you want to connect and chat some more, I am offering a complimentary connection call where I can get to know you and where your desires are going and map out your life, do some strategy mapping. So that's it for today's session and day three. I'm going to see you tomorrow for day four, where we'll be discovering the obstacles and how to get over them obstacles, which is part of your soul's journey. So I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching.